Hello everybody. Today we'll be discussing on adverse events following immunization. What is it? It is basically any untoward medical occurrence following a vaccination. There may or may not be a causal relation, but there's definitely a temporal association. Temporal association is where there's a time gap. You have a vaccination, you have a medical event, and these two may or may not be related to each other. This AEFI program was established in 1988 and the latest guidelines that we have are of 2015 guidelines. So this is basically a passive system for spontaneous reporting of events that occur following immunization. What does it do? It basically does two jobs. One, you'll be able to monitor the known adverse reactions. And two, you'll be able to identify any new reactions to vaccinations that might be coming up. And now that we have multiple new manufacturers coming with multiple vaccines, multiple combination vaccines, standalone vaccines. So this surveillance system is very important for us to understand what adverse reactions are inherent to the vaccination and which ones are not. Basically, it can dispel false associations. The classification of AEFI is of two types. One is based on severity and the other one is based on type. So let's see the types classification first. There are 5 classes in this. The vaccine product related, the vaccine quality defect related, immunization error related, immunization anxiety related, and a coincidental event. Let's look at each of them with a small example. Vaccine product related. So vaccine product related is, as the name suggests, the reaction is secondary to the components of the vaccine ingredients. It is not due to improper manufacturing. It is not a quality defect. The vaccine has been stored properly, maintained in cold storage throughout. It has been administered properly, but still the patient can have a reaction because it's the property of the vaccine per se. For example, extensive limb swelling following DPT vaccination is expected because that's one of the qualities of the ingredients in the vaccine. Vaccine quality related is, so there is a manufacturing problem. Okay, so the quality standards are not met. Suppose in an inactivated polio vaccine, the polio virus is not inactivated, then you end up having paralytic polio, right? So this is preventable. Unlike your first one, which is product related, which is generally not preventable, but that can be anticipated and explained to patients and parents. Quality related is preventable at the level of manufacturer. What about immunization error related reaction? So here you have a vaccine that has been manufactured properly, has been quality checked well, but there might be inappropriate vaccine handling, inappropriate prescribing, or improper administration. So either of these can result in a vaccine reaction. For example, suppose you have a multi-dose vial that is supposed to be used within say 4 to 6 hours. So like for example, a measles vaccine. Suppose it's kept for a long time, then there is risk of infection that can get transmitted due to the vial being kept for a long time against the advice of the manufacturer. Correct? So here the vaccine has been improperly handled. Got my point? And suppose say you have an improper administration of BCG vaccine. Instead of intradermal route, you give it in the subcutaneous route. You end up having a big lymphadenitis. You end up having a BCG abscess, etc. Correct? So that's improper administration. Again, this is completely preventable. This should not happen at all. What about immunization anxiety related reaction? This commonly happens in adolescents who are very proud to, say they are slightly afraid of vaccination and they want to act all macho saying I'm going to stand and take the vaccination. As soon as the needle is loaded, they fall down. It's basically a vasovagal syncope that happens. So how to avoid that? You can make them lie down. You can prepare the vaccine away from the eyesight of the patient so that the anxiety is reduced, right? And only before you are going to administer, you produce the needle and open it up. don't prepare everything in front of the patient. That will increase their all vital signs. All right. So immunization anxiety related reaction again is preventable. Coincidental event is there's just a temporal association, but there's no causal association by any means. Suppose somebody falls down after a vaccination, slips and falls on a stone. That's in no way related to vaccine. Isn't it so? Suppose somebody develops malaria after, say, a typhoid vaccination. Those two are completely unrelated. So these are all coincidental events that has got no relation to vaccination except that it is associated temporally. So these are the types of AEFI. What about severity? So this is again a single table that depicts all your reactions with definitions of them. This is from your IAP guidelines guidebook on immunization. Severity based classification is 3: serious, severe and minor. Note that serious and severe are not the same. They are completely different. Use the terminologies appropriately, because when you say serious, it means the patient has required hospitalization or has had persistent or significant disability or has had death post vaccination, or this vaccination has resulted in a congenital anomaly or a birth defect. All right. Whereas severe is, how to say, a more severe minor reaction. Can be either a local reaction or a systemic reaction. Local reaction is your redness, pain, some swelling, etc. Your systemic reaction will be fever, sometimes rash, sometimes body ache, muscle aches. Okay, so if that is going to be a little bit more in severity, you call it a severe adverse event following immunization. But this does not require hospitalization, and this does not result in any sequelae. Whereas serious results in a sequelae may require hospitalization. It can occur in clusters. Okay, if something is occurring in clusters, then it's a serious adverse event following immunization. And this sort of thing can cause a parental or a community panic. So that's why you have a good, robust reporting system in place to monitor these adverse events. So what do? You basically write it down in a case report format. Earlier it was called your first information record or first information report. Now it's called case reporting format. Whoever is administering the vaccine, the medical officer, will fill up this case reporting format, which gives just the basic details: affected person name, vaccine, what session was it given, and status at the time of filling the format. So once you do that, you will give that to the district immunization officer within 24 hours, who will go through that, verify the authenticity of it, and get back to state and national level with the case reporting format. And this event also gets reported along with your monthly reports. So what do they do at state and national level? Basically, they do a causality assessment. Causality assessment is you evaluate the information that is given to you and identify whether this event has occurred secondary to the vaccination or not. That's all, to be as simple as that. Okay, so basically they look at eligibility. There are certain minimum criteria to even think about causality assessment. Once that is satisfied, there's a checklist where systematically the information that is available is reviewed to address whether it is causal or not causal. Then there's an algorithm that they go through, and then they classify it as to whether this is secondary to vaccination or not. The district committee, when it meets, discusses all the case reports, records, summarizes the findings of the investigations, and then finally gives its opinion on the probable diagnosis. This from the district is sent to the state committee and the immunization division within 100 days of notification. State level, once again, they go through, discuss all the reports available. They make sure the diagnosis given is correct, and then they classify according to the WHO classification. Okay, so why all of this is necessary, and how do you make sure this is being done properly? Just like how you have your polio surveillance, AFP surveillance, you do know these many samples they should have received, these many polios should have been reported. Similarly, for AEFI also, for routine and serious AEFI, there are certain criteria that has to be met to say that the surveillance system is happening properly. And why is this necessary? Because one, you can identify the adverse drug reaction, you can identify new reactions that are coming up with different vaccines. You can reduce the morbidity and mortality due to AEFI, because if you can find out the causality, if you can find out at due to what this reaction is happening, then you'll be able to address those issues appropriately. You can minimize the negative impact of any adverse event on public health. And this is a very important component of national regulatory authority. Why? Because this is important for vaccine quality assurance and also for pre-qualification of vaccine. India not just manufactures vaccine, it also exports vaccine to many of the UN nations, for which all of these regulations, all of these pre-qualifications are necessary and must. So that's it about adverse event following immunization. If such a question is asked, talk about the definition, talk about the classification of AEFI, why a surveillance system is necessary, and how do you stop these AEFIs from happening. So if these 4 to 5 points, if you highlight, I think that should be enough. Thank you guys for listening to this lecture. If you found this useful, share it among your colleagues and classmates who will be taking up exams and who are doing their residencies right now. Thank you. Bye bye and all the best.